Raw General Manager Adam Pearce was out at the start of the show this week to give us a health update on Seth Rollins, and I have decided I would like this from somebody. They can walk out and go, today, Simon feels tired and bald. It's going to be that most days. Also, hello, my friends. Welcome to Ups and Downs, the only wrestling review show you need, because I watch wrestling so you don't have to. And I have just watched Raw, so we're going to go through it beat by beat. The good bit gets an up, the bad bit gets a down. Do not forget to go to nordvpn.com/WhatCulture, where you can get a good old deal, where essentially it's going to cost you less than $3 a month. And I'm not saying anything, but then you can watch wrestling on other services. Maybe, allegedly, apparently, I don't know. Also, during the recap video from last week that aired on Raw, they actually left in a mistake when Michael Cole said, Rollins has just knocked out Rollins. So we may be living in the Phantom Zone. Let's up those downs. Adam Pearce wasn't able to say much else though, because out came Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed and Paul Heyman. And Bron Breakker had Seth Rollins' World Championship over his shoulder. And Adam Pearce didn't like that when he did drop the news. Seth Rollins has already vacated this championship because he had had major surgery. So let's take the sports entertainment stories and throw it over there because it does not matter. I just hope that guy gets back to 100% as quickly as he can. I mean, he always busts his ass. And this is just mega unfortunate. Like, I'm sure there'll be some things WWE can do to use it, for lack of a better term, because that does happen when somebody does get injured. But talking about the real life Seth Rollins, again, all the best wishes to him. Hope he's back on his feet soon. It absolutely sucks. Pearce then also told us our main event this evening will be a Battle Royale to determine a second number one contender. And that number one contender will then take on CM Punk at Saturday night's main event. And the winner will become the brand new World Heavyweight Champion. So I can understand this one. Your back's against the wall. You need to put things in place. What's the fastest match you can do? A Battle Royale. At this point too, Adam said to Mr. Bron Breakker, can I please have that belt back? Bron was all like, no, man. You're not allowed to take it from me. And then Paul Heyman kind of took it. Essentially, they made Adam Pearce say please, and then they did pass the championship back over to him. Now, at the time, I just thought they were trying to be intimidating. It was actually going to tie into a story beat later on. Nobody's around. It was a little bit silly. Adam Pearce then left because why would you hang out with these goobers when Paul Heyman cut his big promo? And I also found this weird. He was all like, ha 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 ha. Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker were always conspiring behind the back of Seth Rollins, and now they've executed their plan. I was like, that's not what happened 7 days ago. Bron Breakker speared Seth Rollins' ass, then went to Bronson Reed and said, oh, good day, mate, you should be with me. And by the way, Paul Heyman, you should be with me too. I got my accents wrong there. So, unless they were just having a moment, it was sold to us like they had just decided to do this on the day, or that Bron Breakker was fed up with Seth Rollins being all like, I can do everything by myself. He also called Seth Rollins a bum shoulder bitch, which feels very mean, when he was all like, oh, the vision of the future, and I'm so happy to be with the vision. Maybe I'm being a negative Nancy here, but I kind of feel like Bron Breakker should have taken that microphone, been like, that's great, Paul, and we are happy you jumped on board, but don't forget this is my ship now, and I'm sailing it all the way to Success Town. He then could have been like, yes, it was me, I was the worm in the dirt, but quite clearly you do see the future in my eyes, and that's why you have jumped on board. So if I do take that, and the fact that Seth Rollins is injured to begin with, which isn't any good at all, I am going to give it a down, and actually that was one of my pet peeves throughout this episode of Raw. Sometimes I think when the chips do fall on the floor, you should just look at somebody you know you're going to push anyway and be like, you know what, let's pull the trigger now, especially because Jacob Fatu's going to be out for a while as well. I don't really feel like WWE did that. But of course we do need to see what's going to happen over the coming weeks and months. By December, I could look like an absolute fool, more so than I already do. But yeah, down, it's just a little bit lackluster. The Judgment Day were then furious with Dominik Mysterio because, of course, last week he had accidentally booked Finn Bálor and JD McDonagh in a tag team title match. I was a bit like, thank goodness for that, Dom, because it's been ages. And we had Roxanne Perez talking to Raquel Rodriguez because they're going to be flubbing up Stephanie Vaquer later. And Roxanne being like, Dominik, I love you, and you can do nothing wrong. So Liv Morgan's going to return soon and punch her right in the face. We went right into this tag team title match as well, and let's not stand on ceremony, Mr. Wayne. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, or AJ Lee, or Dragon Styles, which is also an amazing name, actually won those flubbing belts. I was like, you did have to do it, because if they had lost here, who the flub would have Judgment Day even fought? I mean, there are barely any tag teams on the roster. The ones we do have, well, they've all vanished. Lee and JD then started killing each other with power bombs when Finn Bálor and AJ Styles got the hot tags, and I will watch them fight for the rest of my life. When AJ did get the phenomenal forearm and JD McDonagh broke up the pin, when we got a Spanish fly, I ask you this, my friends, who the hell asked where it came from to begin with? Lee then made sure to kill JD McDonagh with a dive to put a 1 on the dive counter when Finn Balor was like, I'm going to hit you with the Styles Clash, AJ Styles. He was like, don't you dare try and do my move on me. The most insulting thing in professional wrestling. He hit the Styles Clash. He got the 3. And yeah, Ash and the Drag now have the tag team titles. And who are they going to face? I have absolutely no idea, although the rumour was Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker were going to win these titles before all the madness. Maybe we do still do this, because they're bad guys. Styles and the Dragon are good guys. I'm just saying. Now, I'm going to give it an up. You did need to change these tag team titles. Now, please, for the love of everything, do something with them. And given that AJ Styles is retiring in 2026, well, any love we can give that guy, I'm down for it. Jimmy and Jey Uso then had another very difficult meeting backstage. I was a bit like, guys, you really need to start having conversations in the week because you're just putting all your personal life on TV. Jimmy still feels like Jey Uso is being too Roman Reigns, though, although they did try to make up. But the big takeaway is that Jimmy was like, you need to start believing in yourself again if you want that World Championship back. Although, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, in that Battle Royale later, I have to put myself first. So Jey was like, well, you know what? I'm going to put myself first too when they did shake hands. And, well, that wasn't going to happen. We'll get there. I guess that Dominik Mysterio had been warming up during all of this because it was then time for an Intercontinental title match as Dommy Boy was defending against Rusev. The first thing Mysterio did was dive on the man, put one on the counter, and he threw him into Simba the Steel Steps. This didn't help at all, because Rusev then got in the ring and he battered this guy half to death. Dom was able to get some double axe handles to get back into this, so he was my hero, but when he went for the splash of the flogs, Rusev got his knees up, so Dominik was like, screw this, I'm going to leave. When Penta arrived, because he wanted to stop Dominik doing this, when Penta and Rusev got into it, and Rusev just punched Penta right in the face. I was like, Penta, this was always going to happen. Why do you care who wins the Intercontinental title here? In fact, you just shot yourself in the foot. Or the mask. It's just that ridiculous thing that WWE sometimes does when, because you're a babyface, you'll just do ridiculously good things, even though nobody would act that way. And throughout all of this, Rusev then found Timmy the Timekeeper's hammer in Dominik Mysterio's boot, and you have never seen anybody so mad. Of course, Rusev took it away when the referee magically saw him and was like, you can't use that, you Bulgarian brute. And given that the official was distracted, Dominik pelted him right in the penis. He hit the 619, he got the splash of the frogs, and he pinned him for the 1-2-3. So not only does he retain his Intercontinental title, but there's always rumours going around that it may be Dominik versus John Cena with that belt on the line. After thinking about it, I think that's great. I am going to give it an up, especially because Dominik Mysterio is just a babyface now, so that's something to consider. Mostly, though, it's pretty damn fun. Should have also mentioned that Otis was just magically back at the start of this show and nobody told us where he had been, but he is going to be in the Battle Royale later, when we had back-to-back IC title matches, because it was Becky Lynch versus Maxxine Dupri. This just works, man. Maxxine has this thing about her where you just want to root for her, and she is the underdog. Becky Lynch, this kind of heel, meant she could just pound on her here and there. I never actually thought Maxxine was going to win, but in terms of what they have been doing the last few weeks, I think it's very good. Dupri kept going for the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment too, over and over again, although this didn't really work, when she realised, oh my gosh, I can buff my stats, and she pulled down the straps, and that means your HP goes up and you get more MP. I mean, it's just simple RPG. When she eventually applied the ankle lock as well, this place went crazy, which was great, although eventually Becky was able to reverse it into the armbar. But from nowhere, Maxxine was able to get a crossbody for a 1-2-ooh, and Becky Lynch turned into like an 8-year-old girl who'd just been told, you're not allowed any more cookies. She got the championship, and she waffled Maxxine right in the head. Now, in many ways, that's a lame finish, but it made me laugh out loud. It was just so flippin' petulant. She kicked her ass afterwards as well because she is a mean person, and Maxxine Dupri had no friends because nobody came out to save her. But if I were going to hazard a guess, I would assume eventually it will be AJ Lee who does make her big return. She makes the big save, and then we can do Becky versus AJ for the IC title. Either that or AJ Lee has retired again and nobody has told us. But if that's the case, more power to her. I do think the commentator should at least mention her name, but maybe she got injured or something. At the moment, this is taking away my attention, so it's totally fine. I am going to give it an up, but yeah, I bet they do a 3-on-3. Becky does this again. Out comes AJ Lee, and everybody cheers. That's what you do at a wrestling show. We then got this absolutely awesome video with Asuka and Kairi Sane, with Asuka just being like, haha, Rhea Ripley, we broke your face. Because yeah, during the Japanese tour, Rhea did get her nose broken. I hope she is okay. she posted some photos on social media. It looked pretty damn bad. Because Asuka is the best heel going at the moment, though, she was absolutely hilarious here in a psychotic way. And Kairi looks like maybe her Stockholm Syndrome has got worse. She did look a little bit scared when Asuka went, Kairi! But she also seemed very happy Rhea Ripley was hurt, so I'll have to wait and see. But honestly, given that WWE had to pivot with this one as well, this video was so good. And I tell you, Asuka, she is massively all-time. Giving it up. When WWE went and made a big mistake, I think, because Adam Pearce and Paul Heyman did bump into each other, and Adam Pearce was all like, ha, you know that Bronson and Braun are on the graphic for the Battle Royal? Well, I'm taking them out. Paul Heyman was like, no, please don't take them out. So tying into earlier, Adam made him say please. Paul Heyman, of course, will always do that. He said please. And Adam Pearce said, no, they're still out. And of course, basically, WWE were doing this because, well, they decided to delay whatever they do want to do with Bron Breakker, because I suppose they don't think now is the time. Or you could describe this as wussing out. We've already talked about it. I just think this should have been the Bron Breakker show. He should have run through everybody, and we should have done CM Punk versus Bron Breakker at Saturday night's main event. Like when the chips do fall down through no fault of your own, that's when you can take some risks. I kind of feel like we moved the other way, so I'm going to give it a down. Which is kind of hypocritical because I still like what WWE did in the main event, but for my money, that would have been better. We did have a great bit after this, though, because Becky Lynch came and found Paul Heyman, and she was all like, Seth Rollins knew you were going to betray him, and he's actually surprised you took so long, and do not forget, eventually he is going to come back, and whatever Nepo baby you're managing is going to kill them. That's what she said. Seth Rollins is going to kill them, so put a 1 on the crime counter. But all of this also came after Paul being like, oh, hi, Becky. You can still be in the vision if you do want. So I actually thought that was a very smart way to draw a line under it. It was a little bit exposition, but I did think it tied up a lot of loose ends, which once again you do have to do when somebody gets injured. So yeah, whoever came up with that one, couple of thumbs. When I think the WWE Women's title was on the line, I don't know. This could be my fault, but I saw multiple different things online. I don't think it was made specifically clear, but I'm also stupid, so you have to forgive me. Either way, it was Roxanne Perez versus Stephanie Vaquer, and Raquel Rodriguez was desperate to get involved because she wears sunglasses now because she is a bad guy. Put a 1 on the dick board. But at one point, she just punched Steph right in the face. Now, Vaquer didn't care about any of that because she did get back into this. When she did hurt her wrist, her hand went all gammy-whammy, and that's when Roxanne Perez took over. And yes, Raquel was still being an asshole on the outside. So eventually Stephanie was like, screw this. She went to the top rope, and she took them both out with a crossbody. She grabbed Roxanne, she hit the Angel's wings, and she just pinned her for the 1, 2, 3. Now, when Roxanne was coming to the ring, the commentators also went, she lost on the show last week. So whatever we do next, Roxanne Perez is going to have to work her way back to the top. I think she's brilliant, but you do have to get some wins. The Judgment Day, of course, attacked after this because wrestling loves post-match beatdowns. When Nikki Bella, who I was about to put on the side of a milk carton, came running out to help Stephanie. And the big worry here is that Vaquer landed on her leg at one point, and it looked like something may have given way with her knee. But hopefully this is nothing. We do not need more injuries. So look, the match was perfectly fine and easy to watch, and I can't get mad at Stephanie Vaquer getting wins, so I am going to give it an up. But I don't get the story. I don't get Nikki Bella just being back, although she did hint at something later, which I'll talk about in just 1 second. And I just think given you have Stephanie Vaquer, one of the biggest stars on the Raw roster right now, and the fact she's the champion, well, her story should be more interesting, and it should just feel larger than life. The moment it kind of feels like we're just going from week to week to week. So I'm going to give that a down. I mean, she beat Tiffany straight at that crown jewel, and now it's a bit like it never happened. Find it a little bit strange. Lyra Valkyria was then talking to Adam Pearce, and she was a bit like, I want to team with Bayley, but also Bayley's crazy. When Bayley walked in and said, oh, Lyra, it's your birthday next week, and I've got you a surprise. And Lyra's like, well, no, don't do that. It's my birthday. I don't like surprises. And Bayley's like, yes, you do. I'm going to do it anyway next week. And she walked off. I stand by what I keep saying. Lyra Valkyria, this is totally on you. Why do you keep hanging out with this crazy peasant? We then saw Paul Heyman with Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker when they said, wait a minute, what's going on with this graphic? Why have we been removed? And I actually think down the line, this segment is going to mean more than it felt like on this evening, because Paul totally ignored the question and he said, look what I did for Brock Lesnar. Look what I did for Roman Reigns. Look what I did for CM Punk. You have to listen to me and I promise you I'll take you to the promised land. When he walked off and Bron Breakker seemed kind of happy with this, and Bronson Reed was a bit like, oh, good day, mate. Let's wait and see. But I think Paul Heyman knows his back is against the wall. He knows at the moment he is screwed, so he's just trying to rely on his past to basically gaslight these two, and eventually they're going to absolutely kill him. If we do that, then we can elevate them. So I'm going to do my wait and see thing. Just kind of feel like I said, there was more to this than we see on the surface. We're going to have to get a drill and bury deep. We then had the funniest segment on the show because Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vaquer were walking backstage. And this may be me reading it wrongly, but it was essentially Nikki Bella telling Steph that she'll always have her back, but she may as well have gone, you don't have a feud, we've probably had a chat in the back, and I'm going to go heel. I'm absolutely going to screw you. It's like a Disney villain being like, oh man, I want to be your friend. Like, man, you got horns, and you got like a big stick that someone told me you stab people with. This was a little bit too on the nose, but you know what? It is wrestling. Why not? It made me laugh. It was then time for our main event and the Battle Royale, where we were going to determine a new number one contender, but it's a new number one contender too, because CM Punk is already the number one contender. What? Punk surprised us on commentary too, so that was nice. And yes, I've got a list here. We had Otis, that's why he was back. We had Rusev, which made no sense, because he just lost going for a secondary title. We had Tozawa, we had Dragon Lee, we had JD McDonagh, we had Finn Balor, we had Dominik, we had Ivar, we had the Usos, we had AJ Styles, we had El Grande Americano, we had Kofi Kingston, we had Grayson Waller, we had Penta, we had Sheamus, who was magically back on Raw with no hoopla whatsoever, and we had LA Knight. I think that was everybody. They did all get entrances, which I quite liked. Back in the day, people would just appear in the ring, and it always made them feel lesser than. Now, it was Mysterio who eliminated Rusev and Penta at the same time, and I thought that was genius, given that what happened earlier. But Sheamus, man, he just came and went like he was nothing. I've given that a down. We hadn't seen him since Clash in Paris, and I don't think we should have brought him back just for this, although I'm also going to throw an up in there. Because Dominik Mysterio then got eliminated, but like Steve Austin in 1997, he was like, oh, nobody noticed, and he got back in the ring, even though he did this in front of an audience of thousands and television cameras. But that's why wrestling's great. Loads of other people were being thrown out, of course, and we had a lot of big men slapping man meat spots. When AJ Styles was eliminated by both Usos, which I thought was smart, but when Jimmy Uso and LA Knight collided into each other and they were bobbing on the ropes, Jey Uso looked over, he was like, I'm gonna go do it, based on our conversations earlier, and he pushed them to the floor, and Jimmy Uso looked at him like, how could you do this to me, you fake Roman Reigns? Now listen, Jimmy Uso actually started this with the conversation he had earlier, but then throughout this Battle Royal, he saved Jey Uso's ass at least twice, and Jey didn't care. This is some good old storytelling, although again, Jimbo, it came from you. Given that LA Knight was involved as well, though, I'm going to say 99.9% he does get involved in Saturday Night's main event, when Dominik looked like he was going to throw at Jey Uso, but Jey Uso turned around, and he basically threw him to the floor, meaning now, at Saturday Night's main event, it is CM Punk versus Jey Uso for the world title. I'm sorry, man. Some shenanigans are coming, and you better be ready. Still a little bit annoyed the Vision weren't in it, because I think Bron Breakker winning here and staring off with CM Punk would have been better. But you still did have Jey and CM doing that, because of course, like I say, Punk was on commentary. And yes, a lot of people are mad about this, but not me. The internet does this. They just throw generalities your way. I like Jey Uso. I still like Jey Uso. I haven't stopped liking Jey Uso. And actually, I like him more, given he is now walking this weird face heel line. I find his character more interesting. And given the stakes with this Battle Royal, I was all over it. It went pretty long, and I was invested every second of every way. If you want to talk about 2025 Battle Royal / Royal Rumble GOATs, well, you've got to give it to Jey Uso. He's done it twice now. Giving it up. So I always have a good talking point as long as you do not go crazy. But at the same time, you could like drag the internet into Raw and tell the internet you're going to win the title, and the internet would find a way to tell you are wrong. But mostly because of the madness and the unpredictability and trying to figure out what the flub WWE is going to do, I'm going to give Raw an up. Again, when stories do get thrown out the window and you do have to make it up as you go, there's something intriguing about it, man. Let's say it together, we wait and see. Now, of course, you can let me know how wrong I am about all of this in the comments below. I'd appreciate it. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. And make sure you go to NordVPN. Click my video on the screen, which is ups and downs for WWE SmackDown. But otherwise, a brand new week is here. I hope you're feeling terrific, and I will see you as we go on.